Have you ever held a dream so quietly that even you began to forget it was there? A small hope you once believed in, but fear made you step back from it, little by little, until it felt easier to pretend it didn't matter anymore. A lot of people do this. They call themselves lazy or weak, but deep down, they're just scared. Scared of trying, scared of failing, scared of being judged by others. And because of that fear, the dream gets quieter each day. It becomes like a seed left in dry soil, just waiting for someone to notice it again. Most people let that seed die, but you don't have to be one of them. Your dream isn't disappearing because you're not good enough. It's fading because you stopped giving it light. You stopped giving it water. This is where Arav's story begins, and it might just help you remember the dream you've been ignoring too. Arav was a quiet young man, gentle in the way he moved through the world. He noticed details others often overlooked: the graceful curve of a leaf, the way sunlight softened the edges of a room, the hidden patterns in ordinary, everyday things. Ever since he was a child, he dreamed of becoming a designer, someone who could turn these small, beautiful ideas into something meaningful for others to see. But as he grew older, he learned to hide that dream deep inside. He feared people's judgment, their skeptical questions, and the quiet, dismissive laughter that sometimes follows honest ambition. So whenever someone asked about his future, he'd just smile politely and give safe, predictable answers. Inside, he replayed old doubts over and over, until even the simplest steps felt heavy and impossible. Arav started to believe that wanting more, wanting something different, made him seem foolish. And that shame slowly, quietly shaped the way he lived his life. This is who he had become, someone gentle, but shrinking away from his own hopes. Each morning, Arav woke with a tired heaviness that felt much older than his age. The alarm would ring, light would stream into his room, and he'd move through his routine like he was repeating a script he no longer believed in. He went to a job that paid the bills but completely drained his spirit, completing tasks that were predictable and felt so distant from the life he once imagined for himself. Whenever his old dream of becoming a designer bubbled up to the surface, he would whisper to himself, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow always felt safer, easier, and a lot less risky than today. During his breaks at work, he'd scroll through videos of people creating, growing, and achieving the very things he wished he had started years ago. But instead of motivating him, it just made him feel smaller, more inadequate. With every day that he waited, the dream grew quieter, like a song fading into the background. He could still remember the excitement he once felt while sketching ideas late into the night, but now he avoided even opening a notebook. The contrast was just too painful. His past was full of hope, but his present was full of hesitation. He truly believed he wasn't capable enough to even try, that any attempt would only expose his weaknesses to the world. And without even realizing it, the quiet pressure inside him was building higher and higher, pushing him toward a moment that would finally break something open. One afternoon at work, a small mistake set everything in motion. Arav misplaced a file. It was nothing serious, nothing unusual, but his supervisor's reaction cut deeper than he ever expected. The supervisor spoke to him without even looking up, treating him as if he were completely invisible, as if his presence in the room held no weight at all. That quiet, casual dismissal stung more than any harsh words ever could. Later, during his lunch break, a coworker noticed Arav doodling some simple design shapes in his notebook, shapes he drew purely out of old habits. With a smirk, the coworker called it childish, asking why a grown man was still playing with silly dreams that would never lead anywhere. The words sank into Arav's chest like cold water. He managed a weak laugh, pretending it didn't matter, but inside he felt something collapse, something he had been trying so hard to protect for years. This was the moment his dream almost died forever. As he walked home afterward, his mind was filled with a painful contrast. The person he once hoped to become, and the person he now believed he was. Someone unnoticed. Someone unworthy. Someone too afraid to even try. The city lights blurred through the weight in his eyes as he wandered aimlessly through the streets, not sure where to go or what to do next. And in that wandering, he accidentally stepped toward the person who would change everything. Arav eventually drifted into a quiet park, hoping the open space would somehow soften the ache in his chest. Near a winding path, he noticed an old gardener kneeling beside rows of tiny, fragile plants. The man's hands moved slowly, deliberately, brushing soil from delicate leaves with a gentleness that felt almost like kindness made visible. When the gardener looked up, his eyes lingered on Arav's expression, a mixture of exhaustion and disappointment that he just couldn't hide. "Rough day?" the old man asked, his voice warm and steady. Arav just nodded, sitting down on a nearby bench, not quite sure why he didn't just walk away. The gardener began to water a small sprout and smiled. "Most people walk right past these little plants," he said softly. "They think something this small doesn't matter." Arav felt those words stir something deep inside him. A quiet ache he thought he had buried long ago. The gardener continued, "Dreams are the same way. People ignore them because they seem too small at first." Arav looked down at his hands, his eyes warming with the weight of recognition. And then the gardener said something that Arav would never forget, words that invited him to open his heart again. And in that gentle, quiet moment, the soil of his inner world finally began to soften. The gardener lifted a tiny seedling between his weathered fingers, holding it with the same care someone might give a fragile, precious truth. "Do you know why a seed dies?" he asked gently. "It's not because it is weak. It's because someone stopped watering it." His voice was soft, but the words fell with a heavy, profound truth inside Arav. The gardener continued, brushing a bit of soil around the seedling's delicate roots. "People think they fail because they're lazy, but most of the time they're simply scared. Scared to try, scared to be seen, scared to hear other people laugh at the things they love." Arav felt those fears echo inside him. They were so familiar, so painful. The gardener then pointed to another small sprout just breaking through the earth. "A seed never compares itself to other plants," he said. "It doesn't look at the flower next to it and decide that's not enough. It just grows at its own pace." He pressed the soil gently around the new growth. "And long before anything appears above the ground, roots are forming below. Small steps you can't see, but they matter more than anything." A warmth gathered in Arav's chest, a mixture of understanding and quiet regret. "Your dream is not weak," the gardener said, looking directly at him. It is waiting. "You are not broken. You are just unwatered." In that single moment, Arav felt something inside him shift, like light finally entering a room that had been closed for a very long time. As Arav sat there beside the small plants, the gardener's words echoed through him with a clarity he hadn't felt in years. He suddenly understood that he hadn't let go of his dream because it was impossible. He had let go because he was afraid of discovering he wasn't enough. But now, something inside him felt different, steadier. He decided to begin again. Not with grand plans or bold announcements, but with one single gentle step. His first step was small, yet it carried a quiet power that reached deeper than he ever expected. And with that simple decision, the path toward his own transformation quietly awakened. In the days that followed, Arav began with tiny, steady steps. Each evening, after work, he opened his old sketchbook and drew for just a few quiet minutes. At first, his hand felt stiff and unfamiliar, but he didn't judge himself. He just kept showing up. The more he practiced, the more his confidence gently returned. He felt a soft spark come alive inside him, a sense of purpose he had almost forgotten he had. The old version of him avoided the work. The new version of him nourished it. He realized that growth didn't come from a sudden burst of perfection, but from simple, honest consistency. Your dream is like that small seed. It's quiet, it's patient, and it's still alive inside you. It doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs a little care, a little water. You can begin gently. One small step is enough to start. You are enough to start again, right now, today. Keep your seed alive. Give it small moments of your attention, especially on the uncertain days. Your dream deserves a chance to grow. If this story touched you, please share it with someone you know who might need a little gentle encouragement today. Thank you for watching.